Hey, yo, what it is and what's good, y'all? Welcome back to 280 Plus, the social media podcast where I take the conversations off the timeline and go beyond the tweets. I'm your host, Los Def, and I'm back here for episode 149. 149, and I'm back here going solo. If you're new to the channel, man, I would really appreciate if you get that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you hear something and you want to chime in and start the conversation, because that's what this is all about, starting conversations, then leave a comment. And if you think somebody else would either be entertained or get a kick out of some of the stuff that we talking about, then hit the share button as well. So yeah, man, we back solo for episode 149. And I'm excited, man. Summer is here. Summer unofficially starts this weekend. Memorial Day weekend, right? That's the unofficial start of summer. And goes till like Memorial Day to Labor Day. And this is always one of my favorite times of the year. I mean, cookouts. It's funny because now the conversations are starting up again. It's like, yo, who's holding the cookouts? Who's holding the cookouts? And it's like it's supposed to be us. It's supposed to be people like me. It's supposed to be people my age. Like we're the ones that's holding the cookout. So, um, however, you know what I'm saying, with inflation and things like that, and just the food prices and companies trying to gouge us a little bit, trying to get those our extra money on our paychecks. um we gonna need to chip in, you know what I'm saying? I think the days of one person, I'm not saying people ain't gonna do it, but the thing is, you don't know what you don't know, right? So the days of, I would say, one person kind of footing the bill for a whole cookout, like I don't know if those days are around as much anymore. And I think people my age probably would just do it just because like they're expected to do it, but not realizing that like when your parents did it or when your relatives used to do it, it was actually affordable to do it. Like it was okay. Nowadays, you trying, especially if it's a bigger gathering, if you trying to foot the bill for everybody and everything, you might be in for a rude awakening once you see like, oh, this is how much food costs nowadays. Oh, this ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Um, so just thinking about that. But yeah, Memorial Day. That means the pool's open. That means Hershey Park is open, and I go. You know what I mean? I got my season pass. Me and my son already went one time earlier in the spring, and but no, the water park is about to open up. School is about to be out for the kids. I'm about to have a little bit more free time in the summer, so hopefully the show, we do some different things with the show as well. There's been some dope events kind of around my way. My man Josh, he had a dope gala, premiered his movie. I was able to see his movie um prior. Like I seen it another time, and it's a cool short film, man. And hopefully pretty soon we can get some of the people that was in that short film. Maybe we get some of the actors onto the platform and have a conversation. But yeah, man, today, man, we got some headlines. This is the first week in a while that we're not going to be talking about Drake and Kendrick. First time in probably I feel like 5 or 6 episodes, like 4 or 5 episodes that we're not gonna talk about Drake and Kendrick. Like they not in the headlines at all. So we don't gotta worry about it. I did want to call back to something, callback, right? This is a callback to the last episode. So last week I did recap and did a quick little review on Katt Williams' new special, Woke Folk. And one thing I noticed, and I noticed this kind of initially when I was starting to put out clips for that episode, and especially like anything that was related to Cat Williams and that content. And I just man, it did surprise me, right? Because I don't know if y'all remember, man, when Cat Williams did that Club Shay Shay interview, right? He broke the internet, right? Like everybody went to it, one of the highest viewed interviews, one of the highest viewed YouTube videos ever, type of deal, right? And everybody was going back to it. Everybody was taking little nuggets of it. Everybody was, and and not only just taking nuggets off the information, but like even giving Cat Williams a hell of a lot of praise, right? So like a lot of people went because the conversation we're starting about comedians. I was having conversations about who's the best comedy specials coming out. This was like, and I feel like did the interview come out in December? Because Dave Chappelle's special was like it aired like New Year's, whatever. So I feel like this was like in December. This was actually before the start of 2024, but his interview carried into 2024 for sure. And got a lot of people talking. So like for me, although he said it was not promotion, it because right after the interview, I mean, we knew that he was in at the end of the interview, we knew that he was gonna have a special. So essentially it did work as promotion, right? But I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Y'all are kind of disappointing me. Y'all surprised me a little bit. And it's because as much support that y'all gave Kevin Hart, correction, as much support as y'all gave Cat Williams, right? As much support as y'all gave him, I'm surprised that I've yet to really see, and this is I'm talking about social media for sure. I'm sure that people on YouTube have done their due diligence. People that really make content, long form content, they probably did reviews and things like that of it. But like I'm not seeing any snippets. I'm not seeing any conversations at all about Cat Williams in this special. And it was what some my man Cheesy Kareem. He's a guy that follows me. Good dude, man. Yeah, I mean, we kind of interact about the platform a lot. And it was something that he said that really stood out to me. He was just like, man, what you thought people like the perceptions was gonna change about him? He was like, people just like to watch stuff like that to kind of prove certain narratives and prove that they were right about certain things. They want to hear somebody basically like I think the sentiment is that they like to hear somebody famous or somebody has more credibility, which some of the stuff that Cat Williams was talking about, he don't necessarily have credibility and he's just kind of talking. But you hear a famous person talk about these things, it kind of validates like whether if it's conspiracy, if it's like kind of like just a theory out there, or just a notion out there about certain things. When somebody famous can like co-sign it, then it makes you feel good. That's why people are going back to it. But like, I expected that like a lot of people would be watching it now. Who knows what the numbers are? And that's the one thing about, fortunately, maybe for creators that they do not post and show like a watch count on Netflix content and things like that. Now, I think the first night, that I think the first maybe couple days, it probably was on like that, like top 10 things to watch on Netflix, but it wasn't on there after that. It wasn't on there after that, shortly days after, but like people are like have not watched it. Like I know they haven't because nobody's talking about it. I'm the only person talking about it. And I'm just like, I'm like, yo, y'all really went there for the conspiracy theories. Y'all really went there to see him talk shit. Y'all really went there to see him talk negatively about people, but y'all not really fans. Y'all didn't go there to support him. This was not, and people like, I see somebody comment was like, oh, these are two different things. Well, yeah, like, but if you see this comedian and he's getting all this praise for just things that he's saying, you would think that even a fraction of those people and even a fraction of the content creators would have something to recap or talk about or review in regards to his comedy special. And it's been crickets. It's been I barely heard a chirp out there. And I'm just like, it's kind of puzzling to me, but it's kind of telling to me as well. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what y'all here for. Y'all here for the bullshit. So, I just want to get that out there, and I just noticed that, and I just think that like, yo, man, like people just y'all, a lot of people y'all prove certain narratives correctly, right? So everybody talks about how like we just thrive in negativity and things like that, and we know it because we see it, but that's true. Like when somebody doing something on their own or something else, and they not, it's not supposed to be controversial. They're just kind of doing what they love. Y'all don't show the same support. So, let's move on, man. Let's move on. So let's start the show today. We were gonna start with some Twitter reactions. I might do some different things with that. because we got quite a bit to cover on the docket. So we're actually gonna start with Diddy, man. Diddy. We're gonna start with Diddy, and maybe after we saw that video, after the video dropped, and we're gonna talk about the video. We're gonna preface it a little bit. After the video dropped, and then even apology and stuff like that, like maybe the no Diddy slang that we've been saying, like maybe we shouldn't even say that no more. Like, cause maybe we don't even need to give this man no kind of shine. But if y'all don't know, which I'm sure everybody does know, because I feel like this is something that broke the internet. So, well, no, it did, because it went to mainstream news. So, like, everybody knows about this now. This is not something that is like, it's not something that's just gonna stay on the Shade Room. It's just gonna stay on Baller Alert and World Star. This is something that hit like national mainstream news. So CNN, I don't know if Fox covered it, but they probably had somebody cover it. Probably Emerson, you know what I mean? Like big networks are covering this. So we see a video that resurfaced from 2016, and it shows Diddy basically assaulting Cassie, right, in a hotel. And it looked like she was running out of the room, trying to get to the elevator. And then this guy runs out. He has a towel wrapped around him. He's kind of running out, and he kind of like snatches her back. It looked like he pulled her by the hair, looked like he kicked her. And it's just really wild, just really wild. So after the video, um, obviously I think most of us are feeling like, oh well, yeah, this is the proof. Now, we talked about this earlier on, when the case happened, and I think that was like in October. I feel like the case, when we were talking about the case and things like that, which when I think about it in retrospect, that was like a quick like 6 months. um but yeah, so the civil suit, it kind of got filed, and she got the $30 million, and then obviously there was been speculation about it. Now, I'm not one of those people that was saying, I wasn't defending Diddy. Like, I was more so on a, like, let's wait and see. But like, as the charges and the accusation, well, not charges, as the accusations and allegations started to grow, and they started to sound more heinous and more real, and then they started involving all these different people. It's like, when where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Where there's smoke, there's fire. So like, we can't sit here and feel like just it's just some black man getting railroaded. Like, we can't die on that hill. So we have to be realistic, and feel like, there's some truth to something. So, but again, not wanting to defend them, but also not wanting to go off the deep end and just say nothing too crazy, because again, like, everybody is afforded due process of some sort. Now, granted, this wasn't going to be criminal, but there was other things that were happening that led to like a criminal conspiracy, possibly, coming to the surface. Well, um yeah, man, I think seeing that was enough for people to be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, he did it. Like, anything they said he did it. I mean, and I think that's where we're kind of at right now with it, and it was kind of appalling, man. And I ain't gonna lie, man. So I seen some like wild reactions on just on social media. That one was on Facebook, and it's like, why are you even using Facebook? I don't know. But like, I think what I seen was, there was a guy from my hometown, and apparently he reposted something that was from Twitter. Like, it wasn't even his original words, but it looked like it was something that he could have wrote, but it was a picture apparently. And he just was kind of, this post was talking about the three phases of women in dating, and like, she personifies that. And I don't even want to get it, I don't even want to give it justice. um but it was just talking about how, like, oh, this is her karma for leaving Ryan Leslie. Like, so Ryan Leslie, that's step one, being with a nice guy, not realizing that you're with a nice guy, you leave him for somebody that has more. That's phase two. The more is Diddy, right? You know what I mean? And then like, she gets abused, and then she finds the real person that she's supposed to be with, or the protector or the savior or something like that. And basically they were saying like, yeah, this is karma. This is karma. Man, I just thought that was like, that kind of take is like kind of weird, man, because it makes you feel like, well, who hurt you? First off, who hurt you to feel like somebody like karma would be her just getting her heart broken. Like at the most, it would be her getting her heart broken by somebody that had good intentions with her, right? Like somebody with good intentions, um, you know what I mean, or something like that, and then they break her heart, so to speak, or she comes in with good intentions, and then this guy like finds somebody else, and it's almost like a reciprocal thing. Does karma have limits and boundaries? Maybe not, but like if everything bad that happens to you in life is not a result of karma, right? So because the world is just fucked up, and sometimes bad things happen to good people, bad things happen to quiet people, bad things happen to weaker people, to women, to bad things happen to anybody. That's bad things happen to vulnerable people. And I think that's what this is. But like to say karma, it's like, damn, bro, like you don't do you have like who's like you don't have a mom, right? Like that you don't be so and Mother's Day just passed a couple weeks ago. So like you don't be thinking about like your mom in those situations. If you have daughters, you don't think about your daughters possibly in those situations. You don't think about your sisters, your nieces, and then to push it away and to say like, oh, I'm gonna teach my daughter X, Y, and Z. Bro, it don't matter what you teach your kids. It don't really like it does. It matters. It matters. It matters. Let me take that back. It matters what you teach your kids. But once your kids, your children have free will, they gotta learn. Sometimes they gotta learn the hard way. So even though they have a foundation of things, when we start talking about matters of the heart, matters of emotion, relationships, breakups, makeups, you know what I'm saying? It's not a clear cut like path. Like no one learns something from their parents and then just goes, okay, I heard you, father, and then listens right away. Because we all know that there's a lot of lessons in our lives that we just not ready to receive until we're ready to receive them, right? Like we have to learn the hard way. Sometimes you learn the lesson, sometimes the lesson is implicit, sometimes it's a bad example, and that's the lesson, but like we don't realize that's the lesson. We just say, oh, it's not gonna be me, and then it ends up being you because you're not paying attention to all the aspects. And then other times it's a direct lesson, and we still say, well, I hear what you're saying, but that doesn't apply to me because that's not my life. That was back in the day. Dad, you're a man, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, sometimes we're not ready to receive certain things. So just to assume like, oh well, it ain't gonna happen to my kids, you're being naive. Hopefully they do have like certain things equipped that they can get help, and they don't fall into those things. But like just to say, oh no, it's her fault, it's her karma, and my daughter, like if it was my daughter, she wouldn't do that because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, all right, man. And then Diddy went out, and then it cooked for like 2 days, like last weekend, and then Diddy came out with an apology video, which I was baffled. I was surprised. I was like he's really doing this? Now, does Cassie deserve an apology? Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Like, sure. But like, and she did get $30 million. You know what I'm saying? But bruh, you're doing that for yourself. Like, you're not doing that for her at that point because we can't change what happened. We can't improve upon what happened. We can't like come to, you know what I mean? So he apologized, and I'm just thinking, like, man, this is not, he talking about he hit rock bottom. He was at rock bottom, and then people are referencing like how much money he had back in 2016. He was talking about going to rehab and feeling bad for himself and things like that. And it's like, bruh, save it, man. You gotta save it. I'm not saying that people can't change, but like this is a pattern. Like we're talking about a pattern of behavior. Although we never seen Diddy actually harm people, we've heard enough stories from and here's the thing, he does it's not like he's just doing stuff um doing stuff to women. I mean, people alleged and assumed that he was harming his ex, Kim Porter. So we don't necessarily have to see it. We seen him, like we seen how power hungry he is. We see how angry he gets but when people like kind of go against him, I mean, we've seen the bad business dealings. Like, so we've always known that Diddy has a side to him that's not all the way above board. That's not, fully. We we've seen the side of Diddy where it's, yeah, I mean, some of his actions are not fully honorable. So like I don't know, we don't need to actually see him abuse people to think that it's plausible. And then again, when you got all these allegations and they're getting heinous and heinous and more brutal, and then we know now that he can't get charged for what happened because it's outside of statute of limitations. And then what happened right after that was well, I think we learned that, I think, yeah, this is before the apology came out. Um, we learned before the apology came out, like we learned that somebody that he couldn't get charged. He couldn't get charged for the actual video, right? And so I think whoever, and this is a theory that's going out there, like maybe somebody is trying to extort him, right? And it's no sympathy, and maybe that's his karma, right? But like I'm hearing that people, like somebody might be out there to extort him, that he had all this footage of stuff, and like somebody got that footage, even though he took the tape and paid for it from the hotel or the establishment that this was. Somebody had access to these tapes, and they're like, well, either he has a personal beef with somebody, or whoever is behind the scenes is pressing the buttons and like, all right, oh well, we can't get him, we can't we can't necessarily get him on no charges, but like we're gonna make his life miserable, because now, to me, if you ask me, the nail is in the coffin. Like it's over. Like it's like there's no recovering from this moment. Um, Professionally, I think he's gonna have to divest. I just seen. Remember, last time when we talked about the Diddy stuff, I mentioned the organization Rec Philly, and how there was Diddy and Revolt, right? They did some type of like investment into Rec, and they decided to expand, and like there was supposed to be this Rec Miami. And I just seen Rec Philly put out a statement, like, and so like again, anybody that's been associated with him in any way, they are starting to divest now. You know what I mean? You got people unfollowing him left and right. LeBron unfollowed him. Meek Mill just unfollowed him. Young Miami, who is like his girlfriend, you know what I mean? She unfollowed him. And it's just getting to be we're getting to the point where like, all right, this might be, you know, again, he might have to leave the country, man. He might, I mean, and if he's not gonna get charged, if there's nothing that's gonna come out of his criminally, yeah, I mean, he better off just kind of, maybe taking his children, whatever. Care for yours, care for your people, but like you might have to get away, man, and like never come back. And for many people, it's good riddance, man. Like maybe it's just time. It's time. So let's move on, man. Let's move on, because that's sad, man. A lot of that stuff is sad and crazy, and it's just like it's a wait and see game. Like where is it gonna go now? And but things are gonna be coming out. This is not the last that we're hearing. Like things are about to start coming out, maybe about other people, but definitely this is not the last thing we heard about Diddy. Right. All right, man. Let's move on. So I left this video. There was another video that came out. There was a viral video that came out. And I decided to leave it alone at first, because it was like one of those things where I was like, let me see where it plays out, how it plays out. So, did y'all see the teacher that went viral and faced backlash for letting students unbraid his hair on camera while at work, while at school? So, let's talk about that. So the guy, he has a TikTok, and I think his name is Jack Lee or something like that, and it's JAQ and then Lee. Um, so initially, and here's the thing, like you must have to follow him to have seen this, whatever. But like the first video that most people are seeing was a reaction to his live. All right. So I don't know how long ago this was exactly, like, cause but all the backlashes happened within the last week or two, right? So apparently he did a live. So he has a big social media following, has a big TikTok following, and he's a middle school teacher. And so he must have went live, and he apparently with his social media platform as and him being a teacher, he kind of like, blends it, you know what I mean? And like he kind of crosses certain lines. Now he prefaces that like these kids have release forms so they can be on it. He's claiming that he has permission and that the administration knows that what he's doing, right? So he's talking about that. However, even if all that is true, right, there still has to be certain boundaries, right? So, and I went on to his page, and he does have a lot of content with like it's just about teaching. It's about his life. So, but he's showing the kids a lot, um, making kids making jokes about teaching and things like that, and it's whatever. That's his prerogative. I think that educators should be allowed to have their own personal lives, and they should be able to have a social media presence that doesn't put their jobs in jeopardy, right? Like I think two things can be true, right? Two things can be true. Like so what happens is he decides to make a long video about the comments that people were leaving. So he's complaining, or he's talking about how he had to get his hair done. He was going to get his hair done after school, but he did not have time to take it out. So apparently all the kids are done with everything that they had to do in class. He said they had some downtime, and that the girls, the female students in the class, they wanted to help him unbraid his hair. Now, um, I think I don't think he was doing anything weird in terms of like he wasn't touching anybody, he wasn't doing anything inappropriate, but like off the rip when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's unprofessional. That's unprofessional. Like I wouldn't, like, I'm not doing that. Like I'm not doing that. But like there were people that felt like it was also inappropriate. Maybe not because he's creepy, but it's because of the personal space aspect. And there was a lot of people in the comments like, "Oh, well, I don't want my daughter playing in some man's hair, and things like that." And he gives this long ass video, like really trying to explain his position and like basically cover. I guess this was like the insurance video, right? This was him trying to cover his ass, but in a roundabout way, he probably made it worse because if you didn't see the live, now granted, people can screen record stuff, unless people were like reposting his live, like if you didn't see it, you didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? And he probably could have went on about his business. But like obviously there were people that saw it that had a problem with it. But now what you decided to do is you decided to make another video to complain about it. So now you're showing another audience this video. And this video, this first reaction video, I'm sure got way more views than the initial live. So you're trying to justify your position. You're trying to do that, right? So then after that, right, we get headlines that he got fired, right? So it was like, oh, it was crazy. So apparently, though, people were jumping the gun. I don't think he got fired. They said something about him getting reassigned, right? So all right, so he's made all right. Let's keep track here. He made a live video with the kids unbraiding his hair, made a longer video basically explaining himself and justifying his actions, right? And that one I'm sure went way more viral than the initial video. Then, right, so then he faces some type of consequence, right? Then he makes another video crying, right? And he's reading people, like the kids, they were writing letters or some type of messages to him, and they were like expressing like how they miss him, and like he's gonna get through this, whatever. And but like he's sad, and I'm thinking like, all right, you want attention now, you want attention, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying, nigga, like what is you doing? Like you already did a lot, but like there's no reason to get on camera and crying and things like that. So he does that, right? So that's 3 videos now. Then he makes another video, right? And he's basically starting to define words and stuff like that. And he was like, "Oh, people called it inappropriate," and he was like, "Well." Well, he was like, "Oh, people call it unprofessional," and then he admits he's like, "Well, I can see how yes, it is. It would be deemed in unprofessional." And he's like, "But I'm an unconventional teacher. I like to do things a certain way." Then he goes on and defines inappropriate and as it's deemed in whatever language that he's learning this from in terms of how it applies to his job. So he says something about that, and then he was like, "Well, yeah, it could also be inappropriate, but like then doubling back, like, well, but I wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't doing nothing crazy. Like, why do people have? He's putting it on people and saying, why do we have dirty minds? Why are we thinking negatively? You know what I mean? Just because there have been some bad eggs and bad people doesn't mean that that's all teachers, right? So he's playing on that, which that's true. Like again, two things can be true. You could maybe not be a creep, but like what you did in this moment was not cool, though. You know what I'm saying? So he's making a video basically trying to he's admitting to it, but also still kind of justifying his actions, right? Right. And then so that's 4 videos, and then he made another video, and what he tried to do it, and this is where he started dry snitching, right? So then he posted a video, and I didn't really get into this one too much, but because at this point it was like, bro, you're dragging it now. And now you snitching, and now you doing other shit, right? So what it was he posted a video. He was reacting to there was a white male teacher, bald white male teacher, and then it seemed like at a school, predominantly Caucasian, and there were these girls that were putting some type of like rhinestones or something like that on this man's bald head, right? And then so what his reaction video is just like, well, how he's doing the same thing I did. How come he's not receiving the same backlash? Um, kids were in the video. Why isn't nobody care about this? Why was everybody picking on me? That's what his video was all about. And it's like, damn, well, one, not you snitching, nigga. Like, I mean, now somebody is probably about to look into that, right? But it's like that man's situation had nothing to do with you, right? But also, too, this is the big one, the second one. As black professionals, right? We got to stop thinking that we can do just and especially if we want to argue in the name of equality, but this is what we got to get out of. We got to stop thinking that we can do what our white counterparts are allowed to do. Like it's just never been the same. I'm not putting racism on any organization, but like, brother, you better act like you know. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the message here. You better act like you know, because it don't matter what field you're in. It don't matter what field you're in, whether you're and what sector you're in. We could talk about public sector, we could talk about private sector, we could talk about anything. If you're a police officer, if you're a firefighter, if you're a teacher, if you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, if you're a lab tech, if you're a dentist, a dental hygienist, if you work in an office, if you're a manager, if any career, right, any workplace that you go into, if you out here thinking that you gonna move, like, because here's the thing, most institutions and they're if you're a black person, if you're a person of color, you are probably going to be the minority unless you live in Atlanta, unless you live in, Baltimore, DC, right? Unless you live in these like, heavily populated black areas, right? You are going to be in an institution where you are the minority. So like act like you know. Stop getting comfortable. Stop thinking shit is cool, man. I mean, because we can't do things that other groups of people do, right? And we not and here's the thing too. We're not gonna cry racism either. We're like, because at the end of the day, right? And like, here's my thoughts on this whole thing. So no, you cannot be out here, because he has some red flags. The red flag is like, although he might not be doing anything, because we don't have any proof, we don't have any allegations or charges or accusations of him doing anything. But what I did see was this, right? I did see that you allowed students to kind of get into your personal like a personal space that like many people will feel uncomfortable with, right? So that's the first thing you fucked up. Second thing, regardless if you have permission, right? Regardless if kids have release forms, whatever, stop posting people's kids online. You cannot post people's kids online, right? You cannot post people's kids online for several reasons, but one of the reasons is just the fact it can be a safety thing. It can be a safety thing. Like you're exposing these children to your online audience, right? Because at the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's not a school page or anything like that. It's your personal thing, right? So you cannot you that's where it's always going to be weird. Now, if this wasn't on camera and again, um people might say like, "Oh, I remember like my teachers like, oh, the girls would put a ponytail or put a braid in this teacher's hair, whatever, a female teacher." So, but again, you're not a female teacher and maybe we wouldn't be saying anything, whatever. But you put it on camera. You put it on camera. If a principal or administrator would walk by and they would see them playing in your hair, they probably would have talked to you. They probably would have talked to you face to face. But now you add a whole nother element because now you disseminate it and you make it bigger than what it is. And you basically you buried yourself, bro. Like you dug this grave, man. So you cannot complain about anything. You got to just look yourself in the mirror and be like, yo, well, like, although we are living in the internet age, like still there's certain things that just has to be sacred and we're not fully progressive in every aspect. And then nor should we be. Like this is not a hill to die on. This is not something where it's like, yeah, I want to get, whatever. So those are the things, right? So, you know what I mean? Another red flag I would say is the fact that like it's the language too. Like you calling these kids your besties. Like, if I was a teacher, if I was a teacher, I'm telling kids off the rip, we are not friends. And I know like younger people try to say that to adults are like, oh yeah, my friend, this person. And if I was a teacher, I'd be like, yo, no, we are not friends. Like first and foremost, we are not friends. We're not friends. Second of all, like, stop calling these kids your besties at all. You know what I'm saying? And then it was another thing too. I always find it odd when there's people that like it's your prerogative if you don't want to have kids. But like that was in part of one of his videos. He was like justifying certain things. He was like, yeah, well, you know what I mean? I care about these kids because it's not like I don't want to have kids of my own. So like they're like my and it's like, no, like that's always weird when you're a younger man, you're a younger man and you don't like you already made this decision that you're not gonna procreate out here, but you're gonna be around people's kids all day. That's weird. Like that's the thing. Be if you don't want to have kids, then like don't work with kids. If you don't want to have, if you said like, oh no, I don't want to have kids, then nobody bats an eye if you're not working with kids. But if you're working with kids and you don't have kids, it just looks weirder. So, bro, give it up, man. If I mean, maybe hopefully, man, you turn it around and hopefully, like, I mean, because nobody wants to see him fired. That's the one thing that's another thing. Multiple things can be true, right? Don't want to see him fired, but I would like to see this man stop putting kids on his social media. Like that's just where the buck stops for me. And hopefully, man, he's able to like either get his position back and able to right his wrongs, man. But we'll see. We'll see that where that goes, man. But what do you think, man? What do you think about that? What do you think about the teacher that went viral for the braids? There's a whole nother conversation we can have about like, how labor intensive it is. Cause I was hearing people like, oh yeah, no, that's like having them do labor. You know what I mean? Like taking your hair out, that takes time and things like that. That's a whole nother conversation that we can have. But I just think like, brother, like you did a lot and you need to do a lot less, man. So let's move on. But let's move on. Let's move on. All right, man. And then all right, yeah, let's talk about the playoffs, and then we're gonna pretty much wrap it up. Yeah, we got another thing to talk about the shy, and then wrap it up. So wow. Wow, I'm kind of mad that I wasn't really covering the NBA playoffs like the whole way through because I've been watching the playoffs. I've been keeping up. I've been keeping up. But the second round it was the best round of the playoffs this year. We had like four really hard fought series, and we had some series kind of come down to the wire. Now the Celtics they've been on a break, right? And they've been waiting, and they didn't really have a tough second round opponent. Like the Cavaliers just weren't that tough, right? They got through them in 5 games. I thought that the Knicks were gonna beat the Pacers, right? And then I thought that I thought that the Nuggets would beat the Timberwolves. Yeah, that's where we got. So let's sort that out. So, really hard fought games. I mean, the Pacers end up outlasting the Knicks. The Knicks are beat up, man. In game seven, there was two game sevens on Sunday. In game seven, Jalen Brunson seemed to like hurt his hand again, and it just is it it wasn't gonna bode well. They're down their two best big men. They've been kind of getting by off of just like hope and will. And they pushed the Pacers, a young Pacers team, which I don't even know if they're necessarily ready for this spotlight yet, but they made it, right? The playing team finalists, right? Yeah, I mean the playing team runner up, the not the playing team, the playing not the playing tournament, the in season tournament, first annual season in season tournament runner up, right? The Pacers, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics. So game one was the other night, right? So we are already in the Eastern Conference Finals. Game one was the other night, and it was a barn burner. Oh my God. The final score 133 to 128, and the Celtics win in overtime. So 5 point win, and it took a Jaylen Brown 3-pointer to push it to overtime, right? So a couple of things that I gotta say about that game. One, that was a highly competitive game. Back and forth, right? A couple things, right? Is that the Celtics, they are the second best, they have the second best defense in the league, right? They cannot continue to allow a young team like the Pacers to get up and down the court and score. You cannot allow 100. Yes, you won the game and you scored a buck 33, but you cannot expect, because that's not even your game. Like y'all not like that. You cannot expect to keep giving up 100 and you know 128 points and thinking that this shit is sweet and that it's gonna be in your favor, right? So Tatum did his thing. Jalen Brown, he only hit one 3-pointer, but it was the 3-pointer that he needed the most. But he did his thing. Drew Holiday did his thing, right? Derek White did his thing. Like so, like they have their starting five. They don't have a bench, so that worries me because the Pacers had 7 guys in double figures, right? They have it. It seems like their team is kind of deep, and it don't feel like they're deep because they're young, right? So you're just thinking like, oh, whoever this guy is off the bench, whoever this guy is off the bench. Well, they have one of the best coaches in the NBA. I mean, like, let's not sleep on Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle is an amazing coach. Like one of the best there ever is. Like, I'm saying? Definitely one of the best in my lifetime. For real, for real. Like, if it ain't for guys like Phil Jackson, maybe Larry Brown or stuff like that, like Rick Carlisle or Greg Popovich, I'm saying, Spoelstra, like Rick Carlisle is up there. Like Rick Carlisle is in the conversation. He's one of the better coaches that we have in the game. Does a lot with very little. I mean, he could do a lot with little. And so that's what he's doing with the Pacers. The Pacers had 7 guys in double figures. Siakam had a good game. Halliburton had a good game. Miles Turner had a good game. And I think they're gonna give Boston fits. Boston has to make some type of adjustment defensively to slow them down. They might need to slow down. They need to slow the pace of the game down a little bit too, to maybe be a little bit more effective. But yeah, I still see the Celtics winning in 6 games, but Game two is going to determine what this series is going to really look like. So game one, because a lot of times, man, if you're resting like the Celtics are, it's hard for you to score. So like, shout out to them for being able to kind of keep up, but like it got dark for them, and again, a 3-pointer pushed it to overtime. So it got dark for the Celtics, and the Pacers are going to bounce back, man. They've lost quite a few games in the playoffs. Like, what I mean, they won 7 games. I forget. Well, they won. They had an easy. The Bucks were kind of easy to them because the Bucks were hobbled. But we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see what. This is what I'm gonna say though. Just a narrative. Just talking. The Celtics have been, man, this is their fourth. This is their fourth Eastern Conference Finals with Jason Tatum on their team. Jason Tatum has made the playoffs all 7 years of his career. Jason Tatum got close to an NBA Finals. Well, we got close to the NBA Finals win when he played the Warriors. Now, I did not want the Celtics to beat the Warriors, but that probably would have been one of their better times to win, right? That might have been a little bit more locked in time, like yo. But the Warriors still had the pieces, they had it all together. They busted the Celtics ass in that series. And yeah, so they lost 4-2 to the Warriors. One, Jason Tatum has to get back to the finals, right? But Jason Tatum has to win a finals this year. We're gonna start looking at him as the underachiever. We're gonna look at him like he cannot win the big game. He's had a great ride. Like we cannot argue about help. We cannot say that Jason Tatum has not had help. He's been a part of an amazing roster. There's even been times when he's been on the Celtics where we don't even look at him as like the best player on his team. But he's gonna be the guy that gets all the criticism and the brunt of everything. And he needs to win the NBA Finals this year, right? Because the narratives are gonna get crazy. The narratives are gonna get crazy. Now, Western Conference. Wow, the Mavericks got the best team in the West, OKC. They got them out of there on Saturday, right? Last Saturday. That was a crazy game. That was a hard fought, close game. OKC, I say that they blew it. I say that OKC blew it. They started, settling for 3-point shots. When they shouldn't have been settling for 3-point shots, they should have been attacking the rim a little bit more and getting a little bit busy. Shy did a lot to try to bring his team like to solidify it. And they end up losing by a point, right? They end up losing by a bucket. It was some last second free throws that kind of changed the game. There was a bad foul too. Like I remember late in that PJ Washington foul. That was, I don't know. That was kind of Shy tried to get out of there, but at the same time, they had a chance to put them away, and they blew it. They blew it. But OKC is a young team. OKC is a young team, and we're gonna see kind of where they can take it and them bouncing back. But they're a young team. It's sad to see them go, but yeah, I mean, Kyrie and Luca, man, and their big men, Derek Lively, Gafford, they've been getting busy, man. PJ Washington being a good piece. Hardaway puts up his like 15, 16 points. And then you got the guards going crazy. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really go crazy on OKC because OKC has been pretty tough. Kyrie even said that's the toughest series that he's ever played in, right? So the Mavericks are in. I did not expect that. And then you got the T Wolves, right? So the Timberwolves go against the Nuggets. Game 7 that was on Sunday, and it was kind of back and forth. It was a little. I mean, they had, I mean, but they had control of the game, and they get them out of here. They get the Nuggets out of here. The Nuggets in all 4 of their losses really struggled to score. That they only gave up 98 points in that game 7, but they only scored 90. The game prior to that, they lost by 45 points. That was a weird series because you had it was 2-0. Then the Nuggets won 3 straight, and it felt like, all right, it's over. Like they're really about to sweep them. They're really about to win 4 straight on them. You know what I'm saying? And then the Nuggets laid another egg, right? Scoring 70 points, losing by 45. And then yeah, game 7, man. Jokic did his thing. Jamal Murray did his thing. Jamal Murray had two bad turnovers towards the end of the game. Like when you get ripped at half court, that's always gonna be on you. But like, when seeing Mike Malone was like, yo, what, like somebody got to get a bucket. If Jokic gets 34 or 35 and Jamal Murray gets 35, I mean 34, that's 70 points right there. That's 70 points. You scored 90. So out of all the other people on your team, you only get 20 points. You only get 20 points, 21 points out of Porter, Gordon, Christian Braun, KCP. You know what I'm saying? Like what are y'all? Reggie Jackson? Like those five guys. You only get 20 points, 21 points out of those guys. That's pitiful, man. Somebody got to step it up. So I think the Nuggets still have a chance to come back, but like, if that team gets broken, they might need to make some moves. I mean, I think you want to keep your core of Murray, Gordon, and Jokic. Michael Porter is really talented, really good, but Michael Porter disappears a lot, man. He disappears a lot. He was like, if we think back to the finals last year, he was nowhere to be found. He was nowhere to be found in the NBA finals. So we got the Mavericks versus the Timberwolves, and now I want Ant-Man to take it all, man. I want Ant-Man to take it all. I want him to get to the finals, man. I want him to get to the finals. I want to see his Celtics Timberwolves finals. Um Game 1, I think it's gonna be happening after this recording. So we don't know where it's going yet, but I say Timberwolves in 6. Timberwolves in 6. You know what I'm saying? I think Anthony Edwards is going to get his shit off. There's no one on Dallas that can stop him. There's nobody on Dallas that can stop him. Sure, Luca and Kyrie, I think they're gonna get their points, but the Timberwolves got crazy defense. Again, they were holding the defending champs to 70 points in certain games. I mean, there were some big blowouts. I think the Timberwolves defense is going to be a lot, and you're going to have Luca, crying to the referees and things like that, and it's going to sway the momentum. It's going to sway the momentum, and we're going to see. But I say the Timberwolves in 6. I think you let Kyrie and Luca kind of get theirs, and you let them get theirs, but you shut everybody else down. You shut everybody else down. You got the bigs to do it. You got the bigs to do it. I think there's gonna be a lot of people that want to see Kyrie, get another, get to the finals without LeBron, kill some narratives. I think people are rooting for Luca, to see him get to the finals. But I want to see Jordan's son, Anthony Edwards, get to the finals, and I think he could do it. And we'll see. We'll see where we go from there, man. Before we go, what do you think? What do you think? What's your finals prediction? What's your Western Conference finals prediction? What's your Eastern Conference finals prediction? Leave a comment below, please. Leave a comment below. I actually forgot to put this on the docket. I forgot to put this on my list. But can we talk real quick a little bit about boxing? A little bit about boxing. So, yo, I was ecstatic, man. I was ecstatic. And on Saturday, I seen it because yeah, it was crazy. Saturday was crazy. You had the Tyson Fury fight, Tyson Fury versus Usyk. I don't know how to say his first name. I think it may he actually might have an easy first name. I just know his name was Usyk. Let's see, Usyk. Oh, Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury for the undisputed heavyweight championship. So all the belts. It's all the belts. If it's undisputed, I'm saying it's all the belts. And it was in Saudi Arabia. So the start time was like 6 o'clock. It was like 5:30, 6 o'clock. It was like an early start, which was kind of annoying, but like I was at a party, I was at a kickback, and so we watching it and we enjoyed it. Now we couldn't really hear, we had music on, so we couldn't hear it, whatever, which maybe that was for the best because I that foreign commentary, those like British guys, I don't know. They don't it ain't the same as like, hearing Andre Ward and other guys that do it, all the other boxing guys that do it. Um it's not the same. It's not the same. But yo, Tyson Fury finally, and yo, the last fight that he had, he fought that brother, that foreign brother. He fought that guy, and the guy knocked him down. You know what I'm saying? And like was busting his ass like was busting his ass majority of the fight. Like I don't think Tyson Fury hurt that man for real, for real. And the guy lost in a very controversial split decision. I mean, split decision. The guy lost, and so Tyson Fury, man, he comes back. I mean, it's the same Tyson Fury, like in terms of like you're gonna get the herky jerky, the fainting and things like that. The out of shape appearance, like you get a lot of that. He's huge. He's a big target, but he's also like he's deadly because he got that punching power. And you got Usyk, man. Usyk looks like, yeah, he's from the Ukraine. He looked. I ain't gonna, it's probably if you call him Russian, that's probably beef right there. But he had that like he looked Russian. He had that Eastern European look, right? And but look mean. Yo, he was giving it. He was not scared of Fury, which a lot of times that's people's downfall. You know what I mean, after Wilder, I mean the Wilder series with Fury, right? When Wilder could not like take him out because Wilder didn't seem like you gotta think. Remember with the Wilder fights, right? In the first fight, Wilder was not scared of Tyson Fury, and he knocked him down like 2, 3 times. The one was crazy, like the one he really rocked his shit. He knocked him down. He knocked him down in like the third fight too, whatever. But yeah, it wasn't the second fight. It was like the third fight. After Wilder loses and realized he can't knock this guy out, he fought him scared in the second fight for sure. And in the third fight, he was better than the second fight, but he wasn't as good as the first fight though. Still. And that's the thing, man. When you fight a big guy like him, you cannot be scared. And Usyk, man, he was taking it to Tyson the whole time, like getting inside of him, landing, and he was landing stuff. He was landing stuff, and the way it works in boxing a lot of times, man, like whenever you're fighting a champ, you have to like beat him. Like you can't just kind of like get by. Like if you get by, those rounds kind of go to the champion. You know what I mean? You have to really get at him. You have to like really beat that man in a round for you to get the point, whatever. So he won in a split decision, right? Um and it was dope. It was dope because um it was dope to see because yeah, like it literally came down to like the last couple rounds and he he scored a knockdown, you know what I mean? And like, yo, if Fury did not have the ropes, he would have probably been down. But like this guy, like he had this, it was like I felt like this whole knockdown lasted like 30 seconds, but like he caught Fury several times and like Fury was out of it, but he's just like stumbling onto the ropes and things like that. And they counted as a knockdown, but it was good to see. Um the heavyweight division is kind of boring. It is kind of boring because they don't have as much talent up in the heavyweight division, but it's good. I like to see the underdog, and like this is one of them things where it's like, damn, I wish I was a sports better because your boy would have got some bread, man. Your boy would have got some bread because I would have bet against Tyson Fury any day, not because I don't think he's good, but it's because I'm tired of get his out of shape ass out of here, bro. Get him out of here. And so we'll see if they have to do a rematch or anything like that. But there is a new world heavyweight champion, and that is Alexander Usyk. All right. What do you think about that fight? Did you see the fight? Maybe not. Maybe you don't want to see two big white dudes fight each other, but it was lit though. It was lit. And then last thing before we go. Last thing before we go. I'm just gonna wrap this up. So the Shy is back. The Shy is back. I was excited about the Shy coming back. I was so excited about it. So we know the Shy used to be on The Shy was a Showtime show. It was a Showtime network show. And so I'm gearing up for the Shy that first week. The first week I'm gearing up for it. And I go on my Roku TV, I go to the Showtime app, and it was like, oh, the Showtime app is no longer exists. You have to get it, you have to stream on Paramount Plus. So I'm thinking like, oh, that's no problem. Because a lot of these apps, they have like a TV login bypass. And yeah, they have a TV login bypass. So basically, you log into whatever cable account that you have, you can get access. Now, I use a relative's account to do that. So I thought I was in. No, Paramount Plus does not have a login, a TV login, right? You have to pay for the app, and then you got to have premium at that. So I'm just disappointed that the Shy and I don't want to put this on Lena. I don't want to put this on Lena, but I'm disappointed that the Shy did not give that information to the fans, because this is not even just the last season. It's the last half of the last season. So this show's not coming back, right? So why couldn't y'all either, like, why couldn't y'all finish it on, like, I get it. There's some money involved, whatever, but y'all couldn't just finish it with the Showtime banner. I mean, or it being a part of Showtime. Like, y'all couldn't just finish it through that. Or y'all couldn't grandfather certain access to people that were subscribers to Showtime. You know what I mean? Because even if you pay for cable and you have Showtime and you log into your Showtime account, you don't have Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus is a separate subscription. So like, I could not watch it the first week. The second week I did, thanks to Dev, Group Chat Chronicles. He hooked me up with a login. And so we're able to kind of catch up. And then, like, I basically watched like 2 episodes back to back. Um, I don't know if y'all noticed this. Don't it look different? Does the Shy look different? Like, visually, it looks different. Like, so I'm like, oh, Paramount Plus, it kind of looks like an upgrade. It looks a little bit more cinematic. But then there's times where it looks kind of like a soap opera too. Like, so if you ever watch a soap opera, that shit look clean as fuck, but it looks like it's like live. Like, it looks like it's like happening live. And there were a couple of scenes where it's okay, camera quality is great and all that, whatever, but it just the flow of the scenes, it just looked a little bit off. It looked kind of like a soap opera a little bit. I'm noticing the music, the score, the way they score the show, and the background music, and not like some soundtrack stuff. I'm talking about like just the little scoring, as like, people going through, or they're talking and they play like the instrumentals. I felt like the volume of that stuff is a little bit too loud. Like, so like when you're watching this show, it's like, it's like blaring in your fucking ears. So that was weird. I think I don't know. So whenever you do a split season like that, it gets a little bit weird, because like you wanna start right from where all the action was, and that's what they kind of did. But like, you created a lot of other plot lines and plot points that you haven't talked about now in 2 episodes. So you introduced Dre having an ex-girlfriend that is like now her coworker, her friend, right? You introduced that into the plot, but like, we have not seen Dre yet. So like, what was the point of that character? Um, they did introduce Bakari's sister late into the first half of the season, and Bakari's sister is a part of it, but like, she hasn't been that much of a part of it. Um, right now, I think it's a little bit confusing too, like how much time has passed, because they made it seem like it was like almost like the next day or like right away. But the reason why I say that is because unless the girl, Bakari's girlfriend, unless she is like, unless she's taking summer courses, she's already in college. And like, so they just graduated, right? They just graduated. So let's say that's May, June. Okay. Maybe she is taking a summer course, but they didn't indicate that. So then you're thinking like, oh, is this the fall? Is this August, September? Yeah, I mean, because now she's in college, she's taking college classes. But then it seems like they're retaliating from like all the Duda shooting and all that. It seems like they're retaliating right away. Like, or did Duda wait like 3 months, 2, 3 months to like try to press these guys again? I don't know. But There's a lot of stuff that's about to hit the fan. Um, in I think it was the second episode for sure. We seen it was the first or second episode. We seen that there's a lot of characters that are playing both sides. So we're gonna see some stuff hit the fan. I'm pretty excited. I do plan on like giving some like full on recaps of the show. We gotta just we're gonna have a little bit more time in the summer, but we kind of gotta like kind of figure out a schedule and infrastructure for that. Now I have the login so I can watch it when I need to watch it and then kind of plan accordingly. But I'm gearing up for June because House of the Dragon is coming back, so I have to rewatch House of the Dragon season 1, so I'm ready for that. So it's gonna be a lot of content hitting you in the summertime, and hopefully y'all along for the ride. Looking forward to seeing what the Shy has in store and how they're gonna kind of culminate that show for good. Because again, this is the last season, so it's done for good once it's over. But we'll see where we go. We'll see where it goes. What did you think about this week's episode? Leave a comment below. Please share the content. Hit the like button. This is episode 149. Again, man, we talked about the NBA playoffs. We talked about Diddy. We talked about that teacher with the braids. We talked a little bit about Tyson Fury and things like that. Again, I had a couple of other things I was gonna kind of react to, but we'll save that for some other time. But yeah, y'all, this is episode 149 of the 280 Plus podcast. I'm your host, Los Def, and I'm out. Peace. Go.